My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
I mean, this is unbelievable. And you want to be the archivist of the United States. You lied to us under oath. You lied to us in your QFRs. You just lied to me a second ago under oath. And now you're sitting here stonewalling, not answering questions about public posts that you've made. Are you a lawyer, Ms. Shogun?
Behind the closed doors of the Senate, a high-stakes nomination is about to go off the rails. A powerful official thinks her digital footprint is hidden behind a lock, but the receipts are already in the room. Watch carefully.
Is this an accurate statement?
Yes, Senator.
I just remind you, you're under oath. Is this an accurate statement?
Yes, Senator.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your Twitter posts then that I was asking you about. On February 18th, 2022, you posted on Twitter bemoaning the dropping of mask requirements for children, including those under the age of 5. Do you remember that post?
No, Senator. Those tweets were in my personal capacity.
No. I asked you, would you give all public posts that you had made on Twitter? You said no, effectively, and you said that your Twitter posts consisted of mystery novels, events at the White House Historical Association, Pittsburgh sports teams, travels, and my dog. And you just told me now under oath that you stood by that. So now let's talk about your Twitter posts. On February 18th, 2022, you posted bemoaning the fact that mask requirements for children under the age of 5, one of whom I happen to have, by the way, had been dropped. Is that a post about your dog or sports teams?
My social media is in my personal capacity,
Answer
Senator.
my question, please, because you've testified under oath that you only posted about your dog and sports teams and novels, and you also said you wouldn't give this committee any of your public posts. So, is your post on February 18th, 2022, bemoaning the lifting of mask requirements for children under the age of 5, who I might just ask all of the data has said is extremely harmful to children, these mask requirements? We'll leave that aside for now. Is that a post about your dog or sports teams? Yes or no?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
Yes or no, Ms. Shogun? You are under oath before this committee, and I have to say, you have placed this issue squarely in record by repeatedly refusing to answer. Yes or no?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
So you're not answering my question. Let's talk about another post. 26th of May, 2022. You talk about an assault weapons ban, retweet a post, ban assault weapons now. Say you agree with this idea that you have to be a certain age to buy so-called assault weapons in America. Is that a post about sports teams or your dog or mystery novels?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
What about the post on January 5th of 2021 in which you say that Ted Cruz ought to stay in his own lane and not worry about what's going on in Pittsburgh? This is a reference, I think, to questions he had about the certification of the last election. Is that a post about your dog or sports teams or mystery novels?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
What about the post, you remember December 10th, 2020, where you said that you were hoping that President Trump would have his vetoes overridden, and you agreed with the post that he was a weak policy president? Is that a post about your dog or sports teams or mystery novels?
My social media is in my personal capacity.
What about your post on January 5th, 2021, in which you speculated that President Trump would pardon himself next, participating in a conversation about the certification of the Electoral College? Is that a post about sports teams or mystery novels or your work at the White House Historical Association?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
What about the post? Do you remember this one? I said we seem to be having an incredible case of amnesia, but maybe you remember this one. This is from December 3rd of 2021, in which you advise an individual who goes by Meg on social media that the Library of Congress, you advise this person to complain about religious flags that have been planted on the grounds of the Library of Congress, and you say that they ought to be removed. And you go on to give this person advice about how to complain and have them removed. Do you remember that post?
What we are witnessing is the total collapse of the personal capacity defense. Dr. Shogun is attempting to use her private account status as a legal shield, but Senator Hawley is demonstrating that when you seek to lead a federal agency, your public record, locked or not, is fair game. This isn't just about tweets. It's about the fundamental transparency required of those who hold the keys to our nation's history. By refusing to acknowledge her own words, she isn't protecting her privacy. She's incinerating her own credibility under oath.
My social media is in my personal
Do you remember the post?
capacity. My
Do you
social media
remember
is
the
in my
post?
personal capacity, Senator.
I have to say, I have been here for 4 years in the Senate. I have never seen a witness stonewall like this before. Never. And I've seen a lot. This is extraordinary. Do you remember this post? December 3rd, 2021.
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
I mean, this is unbelievable. And you want to be the archivist of the United States. You lied to us under oath. You lied to us in your QFRs. You just lied to me a second ago under oath. And now you're sitting here stonewalling, not answering questions about public posts that you've made. Are you a lawyer, Ms. Shogun?
No, Senator.
Are you familiar with the Shirtliff case at the United States Supreme Court?
No, Senator, I'm not.
Well, in that case, the Supreme Court held that, in fact, it constitutes viewpoint discrimination for a government entity to remove religious flags from its property when it's opened up the property to allow other people to put flags on it. Exactly the question that you were addressing in your public posts on Twitter. You're giving legal advice, which you're not qualified to give, directly contrary to the United States Supreme Court. I just wonder, does this have to do with your view that you wrote about that the religious right is connected to the rise of anti-intellectualism in American politics? Is that why you said what you said about religious flags, that the religious right is a force for anti-intellectualism? Explain that to me.
No, Senator.
Do you stand by your comment that the religious right is part of the rise of anti-intellectualism in American politics?
Senator, that article was written. It was about how Republican presidents use common sense terminology to effectively communicate with Americans.
Yeah, in which you said that the religious right, the rise of the religious right is part of the rise of anti-intellectualism in American politics. I just point out that's the article in which you say anti-intellectual, the title is Anti-Intellectualism in the Modern Presidency, Republican Populism. Very nonpartisan. Dr. Shogun, I'm going to ask you again, will you give to this committee your public posts on Twitter? Will you make them available to this
My
committee?
social media is in my personal capacity.
Mr. Chairman, I have to tell you, this is the most extraordinary thing I have seen in my brief time in the Senate. I have never seen a witness blatantly lie under oath like Dr. Shogun has just done to this committee, stonewalled this committee, and just repeatedly refused to answer my questions about her own posts that are in public. For these reasons, I will oppose your nomination, and I strongly, strongly urge this committee to take action on this and force this witness to own up to the fact that she is misleading us right now before our eyes, Mr. Chairman.
The air in that hearing room didn't just get heavy, it became toxic. What we just watched wasn't a standard exchange of political pleasantries or a routine vetting process. It was a forensic dismantling of a nominee who believed she could outmaneuver the record. Senator Josh Hawley didn't just catch Dr. Shogun in a minor inconsistency. He pinned her to a wall of her own making, exposing a pattern of partisan rhetoric that stands in direct opposition to the supposed neutrality of the Archivist of the United States. Think about the gravity of this specific role. The Archivist is the keeper of our most sacred documents, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the very evidence of our democracy. If the person holding that office is caught in a loop of personal capacity deflections while being confronted with their own documented legal and social opinions, the trust in that institution evaporates. The revelation here isn't just that she posted about mask mandates or religious flags, it's that she attempted to characterize her entire digital presence as a collection of mystery novels and dog photos, while knowing full well she had engaged in sharp political warfare. But here is what nobody is asking. If she is willing to stonewall a Senate committee while under oath, what happens when she is behind the curtain of the National Archives? The mainstream narrative will likely frame this as GOP grandstanding, but look closer at the shift in her posture. The repetitive, robotic reliance on a single phrase is the hallmark of someone who has been coached to survive a hearing, not someone who is there to be honest with the American people. Supporters would argue that everyone is entitled to a private life and that Twitter activity shouldn't disqualify a qualified academic. Critics, however, rightly point out that you cannot lock your way out of accountability when those views directly intersect with your professional duties, especially when those duties involve deciding what history is preserved and how it is presented. This is the exact intersection of power and transparency that defines our current era. We've seen this before. We've seen nominees try to memory hole their past statements, hoping the committee hasn't done the digging. But in 2026, the digital trail is permanent. This isn't just a bad day for Dr. Shogun. It is a warning shot to every future nominee. The personal capacity loophole is closing. If this is the analysis you are not finding anywhere else, you already know what to do. The question that remains isn't just whether she will be confirmed, but whether the Senate will allow "I don't remember" to become the standard response for the highest offices in the land. This story is far from over because the documents she wants to protect are the very ones being used to challenge her today. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, share, and comment below with your thoughts on this confrontation.